One, two, three. Please indulge me. I love telling the true stories of my life. And by the way, because this probably won't be uploaded for several days, this is Shabbat, Friday the 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving. Or is it the 24th? I don't care. I like telling the real stories of my life. And here I want to get into, because unlike you homos, I'm straight. Early in life, I didn't realize that I was really a very handsome little boy and stuff like that. You can see it in the pictures if you go back to my old videos and stuff like that. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed, real well-behaved kid. And Bryan, Texas, one of the most prominent and wealthiest families in the whole city, who own their own school, plus eventually the Cadillac dealership, etc. They put their daughter in my class. I was always in the A class. There's A and B. We used to have tracking, because A were the kids that would probably go to college, and B were the kids that would never go to college. But, and she was so beautiful, but she never spoke to anybody. I went to school with her for like at least 3 years in elementary school, and she wouldn't talk to anybody, not even the teachers. Hello, Polly. Just want to let you know that back in the day, you were one of the most beautiful creatures to ever walk the face of this planet. But you didn't talk. You didn't communicate. You weren't social. So let's get on to high school here now, real quickly. You know, it was 20 years before I ever opened the airtight, sunlight-proof containers that held my, my press, my yearbooks, etc. Because actually they were in the keeping of Coach Jack Lamar Lewis, now deceased, and probably his wife is too. Otherwise, she's 100 by now. But when I went through those yearbooks, I realized that these multiple girlfriends that I had, and the turbocharged Christian girl just drove me nuts. Worst of them all. She was actually the first girl to ask me to Sadie Hawkins, etc. And I said, no, I just don't like dancing. Tough guys don't dance. That's actually about the time that Norman Mailer was writing a book by that title. Anyway, let me get really to the point here, because I've only got about 10 or 12 minutes left. Women in my day, because I was famous, I was in the newspapers or magazines every day, was on television every week, and stuff like that. When you're famous, women come after you, but also I realized the fact that I was then, not now, but maybe, a very charming and handsome young man. In my day, I always thought I was just a very plain man. And in looking back at the old pictures, I realized that, oh, hell no, I was built like a mofo, and I was actually quite handsome. I didn't have that conceit or that, a lot of people have this distorted view of themselves where they think that they're, especially women, but also a lot of men too, Alan Calvert, that think that they're beautiful when in fact they're either ugly or just downright plain. But anyway, I want to devote this to a woman that could have been my wife, but she even admitted it, and I'm getting to it. This is all in how you tell a story. Of my many girlfriends in high school, which I usually juggle at least 3 or 4 at a time, in between the ones that were stalking me and raping me, like Linda Arrington, who I had to just kill her on Facebook many years ago because she was stalking me again. Oh God, she got ugly. Oh man, you think I'm ugly now? Hey Linda, you're all alone out there by the lake. Anyway, there was one girl in particular that wasn't the most beautiful girl in school, nor the most beautiful girl pursuing me. Actually, the girl that everybody thought I would marry was 6 foot tall, athletic, etc., a turbocharged Christian that would just drove me fucking nuts. Her name was Denise Marston, who, being a Francophile, I hate French lovers, eventually married some guy with a French last name, etc. I didn't really like her because the shape of her jaw and the fact that she was just a totally frigid fish. You know, she was just like she didn't make out, no second base, wouldn't even give me a fucking hand job. Like the other chicks, you know. Most chicks would at least like fucking give me a hand job or a blow job or something. But I want to talk about a woman that didn't do either one of those, but was really good at making out. And I know you love me, Karen, and I want you to know that I loved you. Still love you. You know, 50 years later, still love you. Karen McClellan wasn't the most beautiful girl at Carlin High School, but she had this charm about her, and she wasn't a skank. She wasn't some boy chasing, hot pants wearing, mini skirt wearing weirdo. As a matter of fact, she didn't like to shave her legs, but I found out she would really, when I would go to try to pull up her, run my hands up her slack, she'd go like, "Don't do that," it's because she haven't shaved her legs in months. She was a modern woman that, to the best of my knowledge, she later became the last track other than her father's death in which she covered her own name up by using some kind of made-up African blah, blah, blah. She wasn't married, but she apparently became a sexologist and got her degree at Cal Davis and stuff, but she was a sweet, sweet woman. And she was actually the first woman in my life to tell me after, probably make out session number 20 or 30, that what a good kisser I am. Because I have prehensile lips. And a lot of women are very thin-lipped, much like my ex-wife. But anyway, her parents knew I was a good kid, would never go too far. That's why I had so much activity when I was younger, was because actually until fairly recently, until 10 or 12 years ago, 15 years ago, parents knew they could trust me with their teenage daughters because they knew they would come back not impregnated. Wouldn't happen. I am a gentle man. Not for the people that were attacking me, but with women, children, I'm a gentle man. And what I want to talk about here, and I only have about 5 minutes to do it, is Karen McClellan, who just totally disappeared. By the time social media appeared, she was gone. She was a beautiful woman, no doubt about that, because beauty is a lot more than just flesh and stuff like that. She was beautiful in the flesh and stuff. She was beautiful in her person, which a lot of you bitches, you're beautiful in the flesh and you're just ugly beyond that. You're just demons. But her parents trusted me so much that they had like a 3-level house in San Carlos. And I know that house right now is probably, I think she's living in it right now. Never married. And in her 60s, and she's living in her parents' house in San Carlos. I know where. I've done my research. But if you ever hear this, Karen McClellan, I want to tell you that you were one of the great loves of my life. I was in love with you and stuff like that, but I want to point out the fact that her parents trusted us. They would let us go down to the bottom level of the house and just make out and, kissy, second base, no third base stuff, and total respect. And her father was an educator who died in the late 70s, early 80s, whatever. And but after a makeout session, she said, "Kent, you're such an adventurer. You're always gonna be rambling around this world and stuff like that. And I'm more of a homebody." I didn't even start this conversation. This is her own words from the start. I'm just was sitting there after much kissing and petting, and she was trying to kind of let me know, but she still, right up until the day of, and even after, up until the day of graduation, she was still clinging on to that possibility. But she let me know. She said, "Kent," and my memory's awesome. She said, "Kent, you're an adventurer. I'm more of a homebody." About the only thing she had done is that she had taken because she was in McClellan, she had taken a trip to Scotland, I think the year before and stuff like that. But otherwise, she really rarely left the house, or she wasn't a social butterfly or any of that crap. And she was trying to tell me that despite how much she loved me, she knew it wouldn't work, because she knew I would be traveling, be away from her, and she needed somebody that would be there every day at home. And that's when I knew, at age, was it 16 or 17, that this woman loved me, but she knew that we would be basically different for our whole lives. And it just wouldn't work out. So, I miss you, Karen. I still love you. I still remember fondly what a loving creature you are and were. And I think that's you who became the sexologist who managed to get at least one paper published, article published nationwide in the press, etc. And then you disappeared. You hate social media. I use social media as a tool. But I understand, Karen. You're right. You eventually got into, finally, when you're as an adult, got into sex, loved it, became a homebody, and then just disappeared, became invisible to society. And I understand it. No regrets there. You let me know that despite your love for me, that it wasn't going to happen, because I was different. I was an adventurer. You weren't.